You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Best Comics of the Week show. Even though, as I'm speaking, I realized that I didn't change the banner for the show. So what we will do real quick here as a start is change the banner. That's what we're going to try to do. I don't know if this is going to work because it seems weird, right? I should probably load up the one banner first and then get the other, but we'll do it back asswards, or however you say it, right? So we'll do that and we'll figure it out. But as we are jumping into this and I try to find the actual banner that we're going to use, it might be somewhere. I just want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. It's funny that I was talking earlier today, didn't even realize it was Mother's Day, and then realized, oh, my wife was back from her treatment that she's undergoing states away. And oh, yeah, that's why. She really made it seem like she was here to just see our dog. But again, she's kind of the dog's mother as well. So I guess that works. But it was just a weird play where I oh God, I did not realize what was actually going on. I'm just going to put this up as the deal. It's going to be a little wonky at first, I believe, but here, oh, this is the worst. I don't even know what's going on now. I'm having problems here, even figuring out how to get this to work. It's kind of there. Here, let's make this a little bit here. It's like a scene of a, I don't know, like a Russian castle. Is what we'll go with. I hope that everybody could see that now. I don't think so because I think I messed things up and whatnot. I don't even know what's going on. Are we actually going? Is anything happening here? Oh my goodness. It is having I'm having problems. I was just writing a song that I probably couldn't tell you the title. It was like a 70s kind of ballad in the line of like the Carpenters, if you're old enough to remember the Carpenters. And yeah, it's got a very dirty title. But here we are. And I think the people who were doing things and hanging out this morning, did the songs play at all? Because when I went to go and wait for the stop, the end of the deal, it didn't look like that was working. It didn't look like, so I just shut it off. I just ended. It was a very weird, abrupt deal. But yes, the banner did change. I hope that you can hear me. I hope that everything is going on and you can hear what I'm saying. I'm going to see right now. It seems like I'm coming through. I don't know.
How dare you?
But here we are. This is what happens here over at the Weird Science Studios. Things go a little awry. A little bit awry all the time. And I will be, obviously, we'll be going through the best of this week here. And if you don't hear me say a book that you like, please let me know either in the live chat, because this is going out there as a live thing first. Then you could listen to the replay. But in the meantime, if you're there on the live chat, let me know what you thought were the best of this week. And if you are listening replay, then please let me know in the comments. I say this all the time, but I have picked up some books that I actually read, even stuff that I don't even review, that I end up just liking to have some extra books. Like the idea where, you know, you're doing all the work and doing these reviews. It is nice to just sit back and just relax. Even though when I'm reading those things, I still end up by the end, I know the score that I would have given. It does kind of ruin. I've heard some people talk about it, and I've talked about it before, but actually doing something that means work with your hobby and something you love, it does make you not enjoy it as much. It's the price you pay, but I'm willing to pay that price here. I also want to let everybody know I started a couple minutes late because I had a huge coughing fit, and I hope that that goes away. And I'm also talking like this because I have to load things up. I came running in here to get this stuff set up because, again, it was Mother's Day. We were doing some things. My wife ended up leaving, and the dog, our dog Mia, is not very happy right now. She is very sad. She's very upset. She's been moaning, groaning, and bemoaning, but I think she'll be fine. And then my wife actually comes back in a week from now for a little more of an extended stay. So that will be nice. But here we go in a week that, I don't know, it was a weird week. You ended up having Annuals Week last week, and that really hit DC. DC is the one that really follows that Annuals Week where you get annuals, but you also don't get a lot of books. So I was looking forward to this week, and while we had two of the absolute titles, not the rest of the stuff didn't hit as much. And there were some books that just weren't very good at all. But we're starting with the DC, so I will start with the absolute stuff. And I know that a lot of people have, argued with me. Some people, even since Friday night, have argued with me about the idea that they don't like Absolute Superman. I do like it. And I thought that the play of having an origin story for Brainiac, I thought was really cool. It was body horror. I don't really love body horror. Also, I don't know when they came up with that idea. That terminology, I never heard that as a kid. It was just horror. Or like, oh man, that's gross. Or oh man, that's sick. I never really heard the body horror kind of deal. But I guess it fits. I don't know why. I just don't like it. But I don't really like horror comics in general. I don't like horror things. But it does put a twist on the Brainiac that I thought makes him really a threat. You end up where, really to me, the opposite deal is Brainiac's cold and calculating usually and is seeking knowledge. This Brainiac is batshit crazy. He's a Looney Tune, and you don't know what he's going to do. And that does give you almost a Joker-esque feel a bit. But even like a Zaz, it's like it's a lot of stuff going on. I thought that it really sets up things of like, yeah, I don't want to mess with this guy. This guy is insane. At one point, talking to himself and talking to other Brainiacs, he's going insane. And it was kind of how he ended up, like nurture versus nature. It more was the nurture idea where he ends up, gathering up piles and piles of these Brainiacs. But I did say to Gray when we were talking about it, why were all those Brainiacs? I think that they have a very limited shelf life, and he has gone beyond that, which probably ends up making him fritz his circuits a bit as well, but also because he was isolated. He ended up needing a search for knowledge in a room that had no knowledge at all. And I thought it was a really good play. I really liked it. Now, one of the big complaints continues, not a lot of Superman. But I think that we are heading along. It's still my third favorite book, third of the first three especially. The other round, that wave 2, I just need a couple more issues to get a little lay of the land. But I didn't really like the Green Lantern too much. And Matt is in with a super chat, the Bart the. And, how could he be? Germans are good people. I love the Die Bart Die. No, it's the Bart the. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And Matt, he is going and really does get the deal with me with the idea of the Simpsons, because those early Simpsons were great up until I said about season 9 to 10. It's about the furthest I'll go. But boy, I love like season 4, and I believe it's season 4 and 5, maybe 6. There's a lot of really good episodes in that. Some of my all-time favorites. And but Mom Mounts says, I've really enjoyed the Absolute Superman also. And I'm glad that some people are. I know that some people don't like it, and that's fine. That is 100% fine if it's not hitting with you, because we'll go through this, and some people might say, oh, but what about that? And it may not be hitting with me. Just the idea, though, and I keep saying this, and I keep ending up where, the deal with the play, just make sure you don't like it for your reasons. Make sure you give something a chance. Now, if it is the idea, I know that people are saying, I'll never read Mark Waid say, then that's fine. If you're making that's your deal. But don't just go by what, don't sit here and say, oh, well, Jim said this. Nobody seems to do that anyway. Maybe that's why I'm mad. But don't go by what other people say, whether they have a YouTube channel, whether they drive around in a Testarossa, or maybe they like to eat pork rinds. I don't know, but they're no better than you. And you're the one who knows what you like. So, always give something a chance, at least for yourself. But if you don't like it, then you don't. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. So with all that, I almost spilt my coffee all over my keyboard. It was teetering too. Oh, my goodness. But we will continue on. And Lane ended up saying that it was emotional. I agree. And he means Mother's Day, I think. But yeah. And yeah. Barlord said, I have all those sets too. I have those original sets, some of which I think it was one of them came in that really wonky, like plastic cover. Then the rest I kind of got, and they made them a little better after that, but it did have a wonky cover. But boy, I love those early Simpsons. So good. And also Barlord said, I love Absolute Martian Manhunter and don't care who knows. I absolutely see why people hate it though. Here's the thing. I think it's well in tune with the idea. I love the Ultimate X-Men. And I say it every time, even to people complaining to me, that when I review it, I'm more apologizing for liking it, but not in the way of I'm like, oh my God, I know why I like it. I just know why people wouldn't. It's not necessarily an X-Men book. I say that it should have been an Ultimate Runaways book, but you can't start a line of books with an Ultimate Runaways book. But still, I understand. And there's things, again, just to throw it out there, because we always get way off of the topic on our shows. There are books that I'll read, say like a Transformers. I can see why people love it. I can tell that it's a great book. It's just not my thing because I have no connection with the Transformers. So I'm not going to pish-posh it. I'm not going to say it's terrible. It's just that I went through a bunch of cliffhangers and not cliff jumper. But the idea when the cliffhanger would come and people would be like, oh my God, wait till you get to this cliffhanger. And when I got to it, I'd have to go and look things up. And I mean look things up of who is the Transformer that looks like this and is purple and has that. And then when I get it, I say, oh, that seems pretty cool. But did it hit with me? Because now I'm already looking things up and it loses the gist of it. But I was getting kind of into it. It wasn't as far off as I was doing Goofballs, everybody, but still all that going on. But we'll continue on with DC. And I was going to say we'll continue on with the books proper. But this isn't a proper book because it's actually a Black Label. Probably my favorite issue this week. And I'll go through the process that I had because if you do listen to our podcast and if you're not on our Patreon, Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma #2 was on our Patreon Spotlight. Every week we have 2 books that the badasses of the Get Fresh crew, there's a bunch of badasses in the live chat right now, but they pick 2 books and that's what we talk about on our Patreon only Spotlight. And me and my man Drunk Simon ended up talking about Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma for about an hour. We were doing a deep dive with it. And both of us kind of had the same deal. And it is Ram V with Anand RK, Butch Geis, RIP, with the awesome art at the beginning. And with that, I should have mentioned the Absolute Superman deal. Jason Aaron writing that. And I think it was Carmine D.G. DeMonico on art. I'd have to check to make sure, but I think that was the fill-in art, which was pretty good. But Resurrection Man, this second issue, I like the first issue a lot. The second issue, the first time I read it, I'll admit, I didn't love it. I ended up reading it, and I'm a guy who is, has an aversion to a lot of reading. That reading stuff is hard. I actually don't love an issue that is dominated by narration. I'm more of a show me, don't tell me kind of guy. So when I first read it, it ended up, it didn't quite sink in yet. So afterwards, though, I always read something a couple times for the podcast. So before I even read it the second time, though, I started thinking about it, thinking about the cool concepts with that, kind of saying after the first one, kind of got the gist that what was happening is he died of old age. So we'd have this kind of, control over time in a bit. But thinking about it, thinking of Gara Gadashka, I'm telling you, I can never say his name right. And I even have a song about him. But the idea of thinking about it, then going and reading it again, knowing the lay of the land, reading it again, and lo and behold, I was like, you know what? I think I might like this. And then talking about it again, this is where sometimes, and I said before, sometimes having it as almost like a job, it ruins some of the things for it, but sometimes it benefits because you end up not only reading, you read it a couple times, then you have to talk out loud about it and with somebody else who would have different ideas and thoughts and whatnot. And so when me and Simon went through it on the podcast, I think that people would say, if you have listened to our Patreon Spotlight, if you are one of the patrons, you could tell how excited I was getting by the end. I was getting really excited about the book. Like, man, this is really good. Still couldn't give it a huge grade because, again, I thought that it was a bit narration heavy, but boy, it was good. It's good. It might be one of my favorite books going right now. And usually I'll say, hey, it's still early, whatnot. But boy, I liked it. And I was a fan of the first issue of New Gods. I've kind of pulled back a little on that, only because I really would like to focus more on Mr. Miracle, Barda, Orion, all that stuff. But I'm still liking that. But this book, this Resurrection Man, almost feels like one of those books where when you say, man, this writer's perfect book would be that. This writer's, I'll tell you, David Pepose, who I'm not a big fan of, boy, that guy gets Space Ghost, right? It's really good. So I think Ram V, it's so good. It is really, really good. So yeah, Brandon said the show will be 15 minutes long, except that I start to yakety yak too much, so it won't go that much. Yeah, and the cannibalistic Japanese folklore, which is part of folklore, with that whole play where Garrett. See, I had a song, and I could say it all the time, and now Garasha boo boo ends up where that is some folklore of a kind of wartime kind of demon that goes and grabs the bones of soldiers and things. It really works out. And having him with his head in the jar harkens back to one of my favorite characters in the Hellboy series. I don't know what you're allowed to say without getting taken down, but that German during World War II, head in the jar. That was fun. And I thought that this was really, really good. What is not to insult anyone, but have your cell handy for lookups when reading Ram V, says Lane. Yeah. Here's the thing. When I go through things and things come up like that, he does delve into a lot of Indian mythology and Indian folklore as well. And again, usually in a story like this, you'll usually have it be the German side of World War II when you had that whole thing start off. But I like that he twisted into the Japanese side, into the Asian side, because then you do work in the Indian stuff as well, which he really does like. And I don't end up being that upset about things like that. And we'll have to see. Fearmonic asked if Free Planet made the list. We'll have to see. And basically, it may not have, because I didn't get to read it. I actually have, and it's funny, I wish I had like a thing where I could show all of the screens that I have, where I have my comic deal, my comic player, or a reader. I have Free Planet on there to read, but I also still have to read, review, and record a bunch of things for this week's podcast. I ended up putting the podcast out on the Patreon early access, but I still haven't done the news, and I still haven't done my Teen Titans Go with the Texas Robin, which I have actually read. So you might hear about that in a second, because I really did think it was funny. But in the meantime, I was not aware that it was Mother's Day until we were recording earlier. I started talking about my mom, and somebody, it might have been Yule, it might have, whoever it was, said, "Oh, this is great for Mother's Day." I'm like, oh, crap. So the rest of the day was involving Mother's Day, and I didn't get to do all the things that I wanted to do. Fearmonic says, let's just say a power fantasy was too heady and wordy. You might absolutely hate Free Planet. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not enjoying power fantasy, so I'm worried about that. We'll see. We will see if it's on there. I still do have to read it. And Chris said, did you read Blood and Thunder from Skybound? I did not. Again, that's why I like the show. I haven't read every single thing this week. Everything gets all screwy for me. And when I used to be able to record the DC Comics podcast, everything involved with it in 2 days and really about like 4 hours, it's now turned into every single night. Maybe even during the day as well. It's usually about 8 people I talk to, and then when I go to edit it took me until 5 a.m. this morning to edit, and I started it at like 9 last night and still didn't get done all the things. So I'm making up excuses, but it's been tough. I'm trying to get the whole schedule down, but it's tough. Is all I could say. But we'll move on to the next book, because I do have, as I said, another DC book. I thought that DC was hurting a little this week. They didn't have some of the ones that I think, like maybe mix in some things with, say, Batman, Action, Superman, Detective. It's a weird week, especially after an annuals week, where you did, I guess, have the Detective Comics annual, but boy, it felt weird. And some of the books that came out were not my favorite, but I said it already, and I'm going to keep going with it. Teen Titans Go #3 is next on my list. It's Ivan Cohen with Marcelo Di Chiara on art. I know that this is a book that you kind of roll your eyes. Oh, Teen Titans Go, what is that? I will say, I rate a book on, is it doing what it's supposed to do? Is it giving you what's on the marquee, love? And it is. It looks like a cartoon, straight Teen Titans Go cartoon. The voices of the characters, especially Starfire, great. And it's just fun. It's funny. Me and Wes, when we talked about it this week, actually said that we think this might be our favorite Beast Boy of any comics that are out right now. And it's because it is the Teen Titans Go Beast Boy, but he's fun. Him and Cyborg are great. And the big premise of this is that Robin, he kind of thinks that it's Starfire's birthday. It all becomes the sitcom trope of everybody's doing crazy things and, oh my God, I thought this was that, whatever. But it really goes with one of my favorite tropes. And you had this like with Full House. If you remember when Jesse's crazy, uncle or cousin from Greece came in and he's like handsy, he's trying to get Lori Loughlin and all that stuff, right, Becky? But this is where Robin comes up with this persona of Texas Robin. And the best is Raven knows that she's like, I'm out, but she gets addicted to the show. But in the meantime, everybody loves Texas Robin because Texas Robin, he's fun. Regular Robin, he rules and stuff. But boy, Texas Robin and Cyborg and Beast Boy are going. You keep thinking that they know better, but you keep going. And then it ends up that it's actually Silky's birthday. It was not Starfire. So all of it was a big misunderstanding, but they still have fun. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. It basically is the cartoon on the deal, but I think there's something to be said. Forget it, because you could get it wrong. You can end up, go read that Eat, Love, Pray Harley Quinn book. Oh my goodness, that was very wrong. T. Franklin. I don't know what the hell she was doing over there with that, but you could get these things quite wrong, so it's cool when you don't. It's cool when you get it. But that is it for DC. I'm going to look at the chat right now. It says, what is the deal? I'm sick of that. It's Japanic. I'm telling you, I get all crazed up with things. I'm not feeling good. But yeah, Brandon say it's a fun book, but you end up where, I'll just keep saying Lane. Is what I'll do. But yeah, Brandon says better than DC Comics Beast Boy, who is killed nonstop. Gets shot in the face a lot. All that stuff. Dungeon Crawler Carl says like Urkel and Stefan. It's exactly that. It's great. I love that. I love that play. You always have it, and it always does work better when you have like the nerdy character. Stefan he's a little handsy, that guy. That guy would probably be canceled now. But you end up where Stitterson told everyone what to expect. So my opinion is he delivered on that, and people somehow still got mad. I don't know what they're talking about now. Free Planet, probably. Yeah, I don't know who Stitterson is. Stitterson sounds like he'd be like a left wing for the probably the Maple Leafs. Kind of sounds like that, right? Fear Monarch says, from the looks of it, TTG team is a lot of the Batman Scooby team. Yep. Yeah, it is. And that was a book where if you want to hear Drunk Simon go on, he loved that Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries. He really, really liked it. And Brandon says that DC list ended abruptly. LOL, there are so few good books. Yeah, I figured that he was the guy. I'm saying I've never heard of the writer, so I'm not real familiar with it. Also might sound like a cowboy hat, something like that. And some of the other things that almost got it. I almost put Batgirl on the list. I didn't. I almost did. But the problem is, again, going with what the book's about and what it should be about and whatnot, that book, Tate Bromwell's really not putting the pedal to the metal here, and now we stop to have a origin story of Shiva in the background. I want more Cass. I want more Cass going forward. I want to see more with her. Everybody ends up where if it's a Cass story, you always have Shiva, so we've seen that. And just going, it was neat, but it felt like more of an annual than what should be in the regular deal. Now, if you look at the lay of the land, it did seem as if Tate Bromwell, didn't seem. He did come out on Twitter and said, hey, everybody, this is a 6-issue mini unless people like it, and then it'll be continued. And lo and behold, it was continued. So that was good. It was, with what little sales numbers you have, it does look like people are buying it. And that's cool because I like Cass. But I don't know that he had the next story ready. Like it felt like, oh, crap. They did like it? All right, well, let's throw in the Shiva origin out of nowhere. Let's do it. But that almost made the list. It was very close for me. It just didn't quite make it. Other things that came out, I'm trying to, of course, everything's freezing up. Just to let you know what might have been close, nothing else. Because I did not like Birds of... Oh, no, I'm wrong. JSA almost made it. It was just under the cut. Again, mainly in that is because you have a funeral. Spoiler. You also have a lot of drama. You've had some drama in the book, but I don't feel like it's earned within this book. If you don't know these characters, if you don't know Sandy and Jade's relationship, you're going to be lost. If you don't know who Jesse Quick is, and then also Rick Tyler, you'll be lost. And okay, that's good for people, and I know who they are, so I'm not lost. But it just feels weird that you're kind of not getting it in this book, and then suddenly you have a death. And you're like, really, a death? Like, I hardly even knew ye, book. Like, all these things going on. It was a real good hero moment when you did have Wildcat go down, spoiler, but that was last month, so you should know by now. But the idea, like, really didn't feel like it had weight or earned in this issue or this book itself. And I like Jeff Lemire a lot. He's one of my favorite writers, but I think he has to do something with this book to really, really get going. It wasn't a bad issue. I just don't think it was as good as it could have been if you would have been setting up things, and maybe this death would have been issue 12, and then it would have some weight to it. But it really didn't have any weight to it, in my opinion. But we will move on to Marvel, and I'd love to say that there's more things I loved at Marvel. I'm not going to say that, because I didn't. And I'm looking now. What did I? And now we're done with Marvel. I actually, if I look at this, yeah, I don't know that I could put any. I don't know if I could put anything on the Marvel list. I didn't read every single thing, but I didn't like anything. So there we go. This is going to be a quick show. It's going to be quick. I'm not even going to hang around at the end. I'm just going to say sayonara sucker, and we're out, because, yeah, there were a bunch of books at Marvel, but nothing that I really like. So I'm going to lean on everybody in the chat. Anybody like something? And when I said the idea of, being a best of, me and Gray came up with the idea that we think a best of would have to be a book that you'd give like an 8 out of 10 to. You'd have to give an 8 out of 10. Then it would be in that best of deal. But yeah, I was really hoping that Star Wars was going to be it. But we could spend some time talking about that disappointment. I was worried, but I'll always give, especially in number 1, a chance. But Star Wars, I love. I talked about it a lot this morning, so I'm not going to go full out in my love of Star Wars. But this book was nothing. It was boring. And so when I started reviewing it, I reviewed it with Gray on our podcast. I'll be editing that tonight as well. I said right away, the weird thing was, you didn't have a crawl. And then Fear Monarch's going to yell at me again. But whether or not it works, or whether or not, but they would always use the recap of what was going on. They put a crawl in Star Wars and Darth Vader. That's been a thing. It's been a thing for years. And this one didn't have it. And it's such a little thing at first that I thought, well, it's weird. It shouldn't really be the be-all, end-all of me saying, oh, my God, this isn't good. But it almost felt like they kind of forgot. And that's what I thought this whole issue, when you read it, you almost feel like Alex Segarra forgot that Star Wars was fun, or forgot that Star Wars is space opera, or that Star Wars is cool, because it was boring as shit. And then I realized, I had the epiphany when I was talking to Wes, and also later, the idea where without it having the crawl, the stuff going on in the issue would have been the crawl. You end up where Princess Leia's going around and trying to get people involved in the New Republic. That could have been in the crawl. Princess Leia is having problems going and finding people who want to join the New Republic for various, how you're going to phrase it. But that could have been in. And so then we jump in the book. We don't need 6 pages to show that. We have the end point of people starting to fire on her and say, hey, you're bullcrap, whatever, or move on to the next bit of really it escalating already. But you didn't have so there you go. Then you have Luke, where he's just flying around. I know that a bunch of the characters end up being stuff that was in that Battle of Jakku mini that Alex Segarra wrote, but I don't know who read it. I didn't. So again, you can't assume that everybody's read it. So you end up where some of a death that had no weight at all, because I didn't even know who it was. And then they're like, we're going to get those stupid scum and we're going to do this. And everything just felt like, man, there's nothing going on here. And then they go and this Rin and Luke go down to a planet and try to get this pirate because they want to end up interrogating him about what's going on, because suddenly a Star Destroyer shows, there's just shit happening, but nothing happening. And then you get Valance and Han, who I love. And they were bored. They were like, what were they doing? Nothing was explained. It should have been explained in a crawl and get to some good stuff. But it was one of the I really believe it was one of the worst first issues I've read in a way of getting excited about something. We just had a pretty bad first issue with Joe Kelly Spider-Man. Kind of the same kind of, theory here. You're starting out a new number one to tell everybody, listen, this is the place to be. This is where you got to be. This is going to be awesome. I think Joe Kelly did a better job than Alex Segarra. I read that first. I'm like, this is just completely boring as shit. I just, why would I want to read this? It got me so upset. And yeah, Brandon, I gave it a 4 out of 10. That's what I gave it. I actually was so upset. Brandon said, I actually came out of retirement and did a written review. I haven't done one of those in a while. I hope that Brandon did read it. I was slinging jokes left and right. I was like, I'm getting into this again. I think I'll do. And then it took me so long. I'm like, I ain't doing this again. This was bullcrap. Yeah, and Japanic says, Moon Knight fan right here too. Not the Fist of, though. I actually thought that that's pretty good. It's kind of got me back into it. But yeah, Barlord, it's bad. It is bad. And Japanic also said, I'm an Ultimate Spider-Man fan, though, and the Ultimates. I think the Ultimates is one of the worst piece of crap books I've ever read. I can't even read it. And it's nothing to do with, oh, he thinks this way or I'm this leaning, whatever. I think it's a horribly written book without any set. It's just random shit going on. Just so in my mind, when we do get the Maker Go, you can say, oh, remember those crazy Guardians of the Galaxy from the future that really was bullshit? Well, now they can come back and fight, and I just don't like it. I think that Dennis Camp should stop smoking so much pot, allegedly, and maybe get another job. I can't stand them. I can't stand even reading one page of them. But again, I said at the beginning, everybody has their deal. Dennis Camp, I think, is a hack. I can't stand that guy, and I hope he gets to listen to this, because Dennis Camp, you're a hack. There you go. Stop smoking so much pot, you hack. He blocked me on Twitter. I don't know why. I mean, I'm very nice to him, so I don't know why it would be. And Japanic said, I love weed. Maybe that's the problem. Lo and behold, I've never smoked pot in my life, and I probably never will. So it's not anything that I would say to anybody else that they can't. Again, I really go through life with the idea of you do whatever you want to do. I'll do what I do, but yeah, I'm not into that at all. My kids seem to be, though. Hoo-wee. They're into it big time. We ended up where, because it was Mother's Day, we walked down to our Rafe's apartment and went to check him out, and he was all like, Tanya goes and knocks on the door. He comes out, and she's like looking over and mouthing, he is high as shit. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of tell. I couldn't smell it, though. She said it was like so over the top, but I have no sense of smell. And as most people say with the comics I like, I have no taste either. Yes, Dennis Culver is worse. But I'm telling you, Fear Monarch, the idea where you had Dennis Camp, where he was on Twitter, and for at least a month, every night he'd have to show, hey, everybody, I'm back to giving you my rating system that we came up for pot when I was in college. And here's DEFCON 6. Ooh, this is brown stain alert. I'm like, I think that's when he blocked me, because I think at one point I did come in. It's probably also because of Gabe's reviews, but I came in, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for that nonsense rating system tonight. And he got rid of me. He got rid of me. And it might be Denise. I like to call him Denise. I don't know. I like Denise Servard is who I like with the old, 360 dipsy do that guy used to do. That was a pretty cool move. Yeah, me and Barlord are both the same. But again, I get it. And speaking of which, my son, Ethan, my middle son, not only does he love the pot and all of everything, he also works at the dispensary. A pretty good job, but he's always complaining about it. It's funny because he complains about it because when he's working, he's supposed to be, straight. He's not supposed to be high, and everybody else is so high so that it pisses him off. It's pretty good. Back to the deal. Let's see what we have. Anyone read Johnny Quest 1 to 5? And that whole, yeah, you have that Space Ghost Johnny Quest crossover. Wasn't that Joe Casey? Well, what's up with that guy in those sunglasses, right? Yeah, the deal. I read the first 2 issues of Johnny Quest. I like Johnny Quest. I was not into that book. I didn't think it was very good. But again, I have some opinions. I'm looking. It's funny too because people were talking, then suddenly it became all about weed. Somehow I'm not smoking weed, but now I want Taco Bell. I don't know what's going on. Also, my kids went to Taco Bell a lot. And now I'm on a keto diet. I went from being vegetarian for almost 2 years to now being on a straight keto carnivore diet. My body is all over the place. It is. And Brandon said, I'm pretty sure Martian Manhunter reads better on weed or some kind of hallucinogenic. Probably. I don't do that. So usually when I go to read, I get a metal pipe and hit myself in the head. I'm like, yep, did this be good? I'm not making fun of people who like. I see, it's weird. I see why people would like it. But I also see why people might like it in a way that always upsets me of, hey, this is smarter than I think. I'm confused by it, so that must mean it's good and smart. So I'm going to say I like it. I'm not saying anybody here is saying that, but I see that a lot. And you see that a lot where at one point you even saw it with Tom King stuff. I'm like, really? You think you're smart because you like a guy who's just miserable? Then you must love me. And that don't make you smart. And then you would get that a lot with Grant Morrison. And so now that I end up doing a lot of Grant Morrison, we have a Grant Morrison podcast on our Patreon. I'm starting to like Grant Morrison more. And now I become the pretentious prick who keeps telling people that they don't get it because they're not smart. The tables have turned now. Yes, keeping going with the deal. Johnny Quest wasn't bad. It's okay. Again, how many books are going to go? Like, when are we going to get Captain Caveman? When are we going to get the deal? What we should do, if anybody knows, the book we're missing is Thundarr the Barbarian. It'd be awesome. People love Conan, but then you have Thundarr, and it's got like a lightsaber in there. You got the sun sword or whatever the hell they call it. You got all that going on. You got Ukla the Muck, who looks kind of like Chewbacca, right? That's what we need. That was awesome. And yeah, I have Japanic. I've read it. We're doing his Doom Patrol right now as part of the thing. But we end up where me and Gray do it. Each episode, or each deal will go through an arc of Doom Patrol, Invisibles, and Animal Man. At the moment, we're about to finish Animal Man, and then we'll probably get back to Invisibles, and then we go back to the Doom Patrol. We did a bit of X-Men, the new X-Men, but we kind of dropped that a bit. But we've also mixed in things like Klaus and other stuff as well. But I really do enjoy it. I really do. And Dungeon Crawler Carl, me and you are in. Yeah, Yule, that's what happened. I'm glad Yule's here as well. I heard Thundarr was going to happen. I was all excited. This is a thing, me and a guy, Reggie, he was on our podcast. Unfortunately, he ended up dying during the whole, COVID deal. He wasn't in great shape, but it hit him hard. He ended up dying. And me and him would talk about Thundarr all the time. And I swear, even then it was talked about. But me and him also started what would have been a Thundarr. We were like a Thundarr watching club where we were watching Thundarr. And it was pretty good. I love that deal. And yeah, Edward said that Dynamite will bastardize it. The weird thing, though, is they end up coming up with like, hey, look, we're going to redo G.I. Joe and the Transformers. You're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that's cool. And then you get like, okay, well, we're also going to do, Space Ghost. Okay. Like, and there's others too. Like you've had the deal, but you end up like each one, you're like, okay, well, I get it. Like, and even like He-Man was out and TMNT, those make sense. But then you start going and it's like Johnny Quest. Okay. Herculoids. Oh, great. We're going way over the board here. Why aren't we getting a Thundarr? What's going on? What are we going to get? The Shmoo next? Like, seriously. What are we going to get? Q*bert? That was one of the worst cartoons ever. I couldn't stand that cartoon so much, but I like that he cursed. But yeah, you end up any sort of thing could be a franchise if you do it right. Again, I didn't think that David Pepos was going to get anything out of that Space Ghost, and he did. But you have Flash Gordon by Jeremy Adams. I really do like. Again, one of these things again. So I'm just waiting for, the Smurfs to come back. Big Alf coming back in Pog form. We could have it all. We really can. If anybody's read the Alf comic back in the day, it was really, really bad. And yeah, that's the thing. Garb Jones is talking where most people, when I ended up saying, oh my God, they're doing Space Ghost, being somebody who watched Space Ghost, the actual first bit. And I thought, nobody's going to know that. It's going to be more the Space Ghost coast to coast. So I wonder how they're going to play it. And he played it straight. And actually, I'm here to say right now, the Space Ghost comic by David Pepose is light years better than the cartoon ever was. That was a pretty boring cartoon. It was all the look for me. I was never really a huge fan. But if you ever saw Space Angels, that's what we need. I think that's what it was called, where they had the people's real mouths. Like instead of animating the lips, they got real people's mouths, and it gets me willied up now. I just saw Willie. The idea, it really ends up where it really freaks me out. Hey, Willie. I do like Alf. But yeah, and Captain Planet, we did. And that's, are we scraping the bottom of the barrel? A lot of people, is there another property that you think out there that people, like so many people have seen, but then when they really get down to the nitty gritty and you're like, oh, you saw Captain, did you like it? Yeah, not really. Like there was never really anybody, I think because it's in the past and whatnot, like, yeah, I'd watch it. But everybody who's talked to me about Captain Planet, it's always been, it was either before or after something they loved. Oh, it was before G.I. Joe. Oh, it was after G.I. Joe. It's whatever it was always something that the deal with that. And listen, if you're going to tell me Smurfs is confirmed they're no longer asexual, you can smurf off with that one because that's not smurfing right. I used to like saying that as well. One of my favorite things with the Smurfs was the ColecoVision game. It wasn't bad. I liked it. And yeah, Brandon, I'm telling you, we already have Cavity Creeps. I've already said, actually, Cavity Creeps I bring up a lot. That's how I believe that Kelly Thompson was writing Barda and the Birds of Prey. She's gotten a little better, but it was like, me make holes in teeth. Like, who is this Barda? She's a cavity creep. Holy moly. Where are the Soggies? Where's Captain Crunch? Yule says Dynamite is not his favorite company, and No Way Man Smurfs are definitely banging. Ay. Well, there you go. And scene. That is Marvel. I didn't really like much from Marvel this week and was really, really disappointed with the Star Wars. Now I have to go and think of what I read in the indie side of things. I didn't read everything, but I did read some. And I'm going to start with Mouse Guard, Dawn of Black Axe #2. I'm not going to say that this book is necessary. I'm not going to say that you need to go read it, but I really do like Mouse Guard. So it ends up having kind of a soft spot in that. And the idea of having this, again, I don't know that we have to have the origin story of the Black Axe, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it enough. It just barely squeaks in, but it squeaks in a lot again because I do like it overall, and I want to read more. It's David Peterson and Gabrielle Rodriguez. It is Archaea Studio Press. It is $4.99, and I actually it's a quality deal. I kind of wish that it was $3.99 at the most. I think that might get some better play on something that's a bit more obscure for that, but we'll continue on. And again, I haven't read everything that I wanted to read, and literally I can't remember what I read, so I'm looking at it now. So if you have anything to jump in with, let me know. And all the things that we talked about, it's funny because Captain Planet #1 came out. It's not on my list. I thought it was very heavy. It's weird. Here's how I'll say it. Captain Planet's made to be heavy-handed. It's made to be a message thing. And David Pepose does that. So he's being pretty true to the property, but I don't like the property. So I didn't really love it, but I'll give him a little props that I get what he's doing. I haven't read Space Ghost Johnny Quest, Space Quest #1. I haven't read yet. I do plan on reading it. Again, more for, it's funny because before all these things came out, I really would have been more on the line of going into that wanting Johnny Quest. But since the books are coming out, I'm not liking Johnny Quest that much, but I really do like Space Ghost. That I wanted to check it out when it was announced. I know that a lot of people like Joe Casey. I don't mind Joe Casey. I like to give Wes, some guff when we talk. But I really would have liked it if David Pepose was doing it because he's killing it on Space Ghost, but that'd be pretty cool. I will tell you that one of the problems I have, though, with Johnny Quest is I don't like Jonny. I don't like how he spells his name. I think he thinks he's better than us. And I know Haji thinks so, too. He's told me. He's told me on the side. But I do plan on reading that. So if you have read it, I did see some mention earlier with people saying that they did read it and it was okay. I'm looking right now. You can blame Ted Turner for a lot. First off, him and, old Jane there. Anytime I see some people, right away I realize, too, they're like, oh, man, the ageless beauty, Jane Fonda. And I just sit there. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. There they are yelling Hanoi Jane. Like, people go nuts. I'm like, ooh, are you doing that just to start that shit? But, yeah. Oh, and there, Japanic says, Jim, you won't get a big dose of Space Ghost in the crossover. Number 1, that's a shame. Yeah, Ted Turner and those stinking Braves, right? The stinking TBS nonsense, all that stupid stuff. Yeah, people don't like Jane. They do not like Jane. I never really had a thing for Jane Fonda at all. Doing those, jazzercise nonsense. I was more of a Richard Simmons guy. I like Sweating to the Oldies better. I think that was good. Yul said Blood Squad 7 is a top book for him, so that's pretty cool. And Dungeon Crawler Carl says, Dynamite is stealing from me by putting Mark Spears covers on every shitty book. And Fear Monarch says, we need a Mighty Max reboot already. We'll see. I'm telling you, you'll get everything eventually. Just wait. You just wait and it'll happen. And Yul says it just gets better to Japanic. So we'll continue in with the deal here. I'm trying to see what else I read. That's more of the idea at this point now. And it's funny. I see Herculoids. Herculoids? Really? Like, do you really think that people are going to be going out of their mind to get a hold of that issue of Herculoids? Yeah. I'm telling you, I made the joke of the Shmoo. I think the Shmoo would be in there. Or like, do we have a side book with Scrappy Doo out there? Can we get that? And I don't know who Tom Snigoski is, but I guess he's doing an okay deal. I remember Dynamite it was too. Dynamite had a bunch of the Atari properties, and I think they did have a Missile Command book, but they also had a Sword Quest book. And the Sword Quest, it's such a raw thing for me because they ended up putting out these like adventure D&D type games on the Atari 2600. They were never going to be good, but you ended up where there was contests. I talked about this before, but we ended up doing one of the retro issues. I think it was this week where there was an ad for the Sword Quest. So you'd play, there was 4 separate games and you play each game and you'd solve a mystery in the game. You write in, and if you were picked by one of the few people who solved it, you would get like a gold encrusted chalice, or, you'd get a crazy medallion. I wanted to win the medallion. I wanted to be like Mike D and the Beastie Boys, wear this medallion everywhere. But these things were so gaudy. But at the end, you could win a sword that was supposedly worth $150,000. And I was like, this is awesome. And I was like, I got to play these. And then the last game never came out. You didn't have a winner. I guess they did kind of make a winner, but then bullshit. But yeah, Dynamite will do anything. Sword Quest. That was the comic was probably better than the game. Did they ever? I think they might have even had like a Frogger comic. Did they? And like the whole time, the guy's like, should I go across the street? Oh, no, I'm going. Oh, I'll go. That was the whole Frogger comic. It was great. It was great. A lot of narration probably in that Frogger comic. He's kind of a solo kind of guy. Let me get back to this and we'll finish. This is, and by the way, if you were worried, the Pork Belly did come out pretty good. Pretty good it did, even though I set the timer wrong like an idiot, but it was pretty good. I'll ask, has anybody reading Godzilla Heist? Because I did read the first issue. I thought the premise was pretty cool, but I haven't ended up reading the rest. I have a feeling. I haven't even talked to anybody who has been reading it, so I don't know. Yula has a Barbarella pick in a store, and I get there you go. They'll always bring that Hanoi Jane bit in. And, you're like, okay. And what you say to them, if you want to fight with them, I don't know why you'd want to do it in the store, but you end up saying, oh, really? Like, you're that bad about it. Like, you ever ride a Ford? Because, boy, Henry Ford, he really supported them Nazis. So, where do you draw the line? Please tell me. You like that Charles Lindbergh? Yeah, he was kind of a jerk, too. There's a lot of people that did some weird things and said some things. She just ends up, it's more recent, but she did end up saying some really bad things, didn't support the troops in a way that a lot of people did protest the Vietnam War, obviously, but she took it a step too far, I think. So there you go. And in that, there's that, Hong Kong Phooey. Yeah, Hong Kong Phooey. #1 super guy. He'd be pretty cool. I like Hong Kong Phooey. Team them up, Hong Kong Phooey and Captain Caveman. That'd be a pretty cool deal. And then just throw in, I don't know, throw in the, what were they, the Way Out or whatever. What was that band that sang that song in the Flintstones? Like, we're going way out, way out. That deal, have them in there as well. They'd be pretty cool. And you have Apogee, say, Ardwolf. IDW Godzilla books are so hit or miss. I've started trade waiting for them. Yeah, I haven't met anybody who's really reading that heist deal. But the idea of Godzilla showing up and using that with the distraction to make I thought that was a pretty cool concept that just didn't really go. Yeah, and don't tell them, about certain ovens, things like that. There's some problems there. Volkswagen. Again, my last name is Werner, so I'm very, very German, and I did have a Volkswagen Rabbit, but I know the thing, right? I know what's going on. Grape Ape would be great too. I'm trying to think about. I mean, now we're Top Cat's there. He's hanging. You get just mix all the properties together too, because somehow I want Foghorn Leghorn to show up, and I want him to be killed, and then they end up making him for dinner because I can't stand Foghorn Leghorn. Never liked him. Couldn't stand him. With it, I say, son. That was actually based on a very popular old-time radio character back in the day. And it's pretty funny when you hear that guy talking. But, yeah, that operator. Oh, geez. I did spill my coffee now. It went, oh, God. It's all, I got to turn, oh, no. I think I'm down another keyboard. Keyboard down, people. Jabberjaw would be great. How did I do that? Well, I know how I did it. I do it all the time. But in that, I'm looking, and I didn't really read a lot of the other things. I know that already been mentioned. We did have a mention of Blood and Thunder. We do have a mention of Free Planet. I know that people do like G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. I've fallen behind on that. I'm more of the new G.I. Joe stuff, but it's cool that people have it. When people end up like, this Baroness being on the Joe team, like, I ain't having that. You go read G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. That's what you could do. And stuff it, is what I tell you. And Monkey Meat, I'm going to read this week. I do believe it was Fear Moniker got me into that. If not, still take credit for it. But yeah, I actually like Monkey Meat. Weird book to talk about, though. I figured that out. I was going to have it on our indie podcast, but it's kind of a weirder one to actually talk. But it's good. And if you are going to read Monkey Meat, I do suggest going back and reading the previous volumes. They're very quick. You can get through those pretty quick with that. But I think that's it. Because, like I said, I still have to read some stuff. This whole day got kind of screwy, and now I'm down a keyboard, I think. But we'll see. I do have I could wipe off the keyboard with a shirt, but it's a white shirt. It's a white T-shirt, and I know that's going to ruin the shirt. But also, in this whole system, if I do this, you can hear me here. Listen, I'm doing it now. It's like I'm on the washboard and we're having a hootenanny. Hey there, and down on the Kindle. But if I do that, I'm afraid it's going to end up like stopping the stream or something. I hope people love my, impromptu hoedown. If I was really going to do a hoedown, though, I end up where you have to like slap your knee. I went to school in West Virginia. I was at a couple of hoedowns. And I'm not even talking like a party or whatever. I'm talking the ladies, if you know what I'm saying. Hoo-wee. Hoo-wee. But I had somebody to go because people are talking about some of the books and when they get their pull lists and things like that. This weekend got screwed up. Usually what I do is Saturday night, I end up reading a bunch of things after I sometimes get the podcast done quick and I can kind of go with those things. But in the meantime, this got all wacky. So I do have to force myself to read these or I'll be behind. But Japanic Ass, The Blood and Thunder, I'm planning on reading that. And Dungeon Crawler Carl says his books come in tomorrow and he's excited. He's mentioned Los Monstros. And then somebody ended up asking me, like, hey, do you like the book Monsters? And I'm like, I think that's that Los Monstros, but it's like translated. But that's not the case, I was told. So I'll have to check out all those. And you have Junie Ba, book you get recommended. It's a good chance it was from me. So it was Fear Monarch. It is good. And I do like Junie Ba. I really liked. I did not think I'd like that Robin book, but I did. But we'll have with that we'll have our preview show coming up tomorrow. If you're interested, it'll be tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the reason why I have to start that late is because we already are doing our Marvel podcast. The Marvel podcast gets a lot of it recorded tomorrow night. So that's usually when I come into the previews where I've read some of the Marvel stuff and I can give you little winks and whatnot. But there's a bunch of books. The idea that the past 2 weeks I think have been down, at least the big two, things start hitting next week. At least I know DC, because at the end of the podcast, I talked about the things, and there's some pretty cool things going on. And one of the big ones I am looking forward to is that Robin and Batman, but it's the Jason Todd, the Jeff Lemire book that you already had, the Robin and Batman before, and this is the second volume. I want to see how that works out. I want to check out a bunch of things, but this week was a little bit down. And after the annuals week, I was hoping that this would be more of a up week for the big two. That Star Wars really threw me off, though. And again, some of the things like Birds of Prey and what's it called? What's that piece of crap book? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember now, actually. The Justice League, that thing with Captain Atom, the Atom Project. Can't even think. That wasn't great. I'm not really digging that book, so we'll see. But I'll be talking about what we'll talk about next week for the deal tomorrow for the preview show. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit those notifications so you know when we go live. That some people seem to have done that, so thank you very much. I will continue with the idea that perplexes me and it happened really, and I think people are screwing with me now, but every time one of these shows comes out, I lose like three subscribers. I'm like, is this worth it then? Like, what's the deal? What's happening? Like, I know that I end up getting all wacky and I talk crazy and all that stuff and everything runs into each other, whatever, but hopefully it's somewhat enjoyable. It's not that bad. You don't have to unsubscribe. I mean, you can end up like, hey, I'll skip that or whatever. But then again, if you're going to skip it, why not just unsubscribe? But yeah, it ended up where I was talking to Gray has the same problem. And it might be that people are like, what? Another one of these notifications? Like, you don't have to, like, before you unsubscribe, maybe get rid of the notifications. I know that people like, hit that bell and whatever. But if you're going to unhit the bell and then just show up whenever, seriously, I mean, geez. Yeah, I ended up like at the beginning of the week, I had like, 4,030 subscribers. I'm down to like 4,023. I bet you it's even worse now. I bet you I've already lost like 7 now that we're talking about it. Yeah, the silver play button. Speaking of which, I am halfway there almost for the dirty songs. So there you go. And it only takes one, like I had a song that ended up where I'll even see, it's I won't say the name, but the idea of that song, it was one of those it was like I hit the jackpot. That song where I'd see the subscriber, right? And I'm obsessed with stats like that. So I'd see, say at that point, I had 10,000 subscribers. I would wait 5 minutes, hit it again, and suddenly I had 10,500. Then I hit it again and I had 12,000. This shit was going great. I was like, holy moly. Like that one video ended up, I think, getting me like 4,000 subscribers. It was insane. And it still hits sometimes too. Also, just to let people know, if you are, I don't know why I'd want to, create competition, but maybe I'm like Batman, I create my own enemies. That one song, one of the songs that I did legitimately has made me over $8,000. It's crazy. It's just a stupid, dirty song. I'm like, holy moly. That's what I said. If you can hit something, you can make some money, but not into comics. I ain't doing crap. I look at that and I'm like, overnight, one of the songs that I'll do will randomly get like 15,000 views. And I'll be upset. I'll be like, oh, man, that's not great. This should be. And then I go and click, how many? 3 people watched that video of the comic stuff? Well, I guess that song did pretty well. But there you go. There you go. I kind of feel like I'm bragging about the dirty songs. It's just the idea that it perplexes me that it ends up doing well, even though if you know our podcast and things like that, I wanted to do the exact same thing about a year before, but Eric told me nobody would like it and it'd be a bomb, so I didn't do it. And he also said that he didn't want it on the Weird Science stuff, because I was just going to put some random funny stuff on there. And he said he didn't want that, so I ended up not doing it. Suddenly then saw that this guy has a song about putting his like finger up his butt and gluing his testicles together, and that had like 3 million views. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll do that then. So there. And yeah, Fearmonic says, Jim, I saw the new Sus Records song and didn't notice the new logo at first. I'm like, damn, who's stealing Hardcock's music? I mean, nobody comes in and steals Anita Hardcock's music. I love to, just again, if we're going to talk about that nonsense, I end up where the one big song is by Anita Hardcock, right? All the names that I come up with are basically the dirtier versions of what you would have Moe and Bart go through in The Simpsons. But people then like, I looked up this Anita Hardcock, and I think that it's not real. And all I can say to them is like, listen, say that name like 3 times in a row, and please think of what you're saying. What are you talking about? There, yeah, there's the All I Want for Christmas is Glue. That's the same guy who does some things. He has some pretty good things. There's another guy out there, I'd like to call him my nemesis, who really does the same song. I do try to mix things up. You got to change the genres. You got to change the thing. This guy, it's butt songs till the day he dies. That's all he does. But I like it. I have a song in the works. I told you at the beginning. It's going like a Carpenter song. But that's it. Again, at the end, we did make it to an hour. But yeah, there were some okay books. But we'll go out. I could end up, I mean, why not end with a dirty song with all that stuff? But I don't want to get too dirty, because then people end up getting all weirded out. So I could end up, we could go 80s. We could go with what would be the genre that people like if they end up in Exquisite Corpses. Yeah, that's supposed to be pretty good coming up. Yeah, and wordplay. That's what it has to be. I used to tell Eric it was all wordplay is what it was. I have a couple butt songs as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to have to pick one. I'm going to pick one. And I hope I don't offend too many people, but maybe they'll sit there and think, oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever. But I do have a 40s song. It's not the greatest. It's very quick, but I did it in the way where I really wanted it to be very, very authentic. I try to make my things authentic sounding to the genre and the time period, and I think that it really gets it. Also, I see that the Real Big Fish is mentioned. I saw them in concert 3 times. They were very good. They were all at festivals, but I did really like them. And the first time I ended up where I'm like, I know Sellout, the deal. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's them. And then they were so good that then the next festival I went to that they were at, I actually thought, damn right, I'm glad they're in there. They were pretty early because of them being Real Big Fish. Also, I think it was Cherry Poppin' Daddies was in the one too, and I'm like, that seems like just too much. But they were good. They were really, really good. I did like them. Edward with his Backwards Magic. I can't play the Backwards Magic song because that would get copyrighted hit, because it's too Do You Believe in Magic? That's actually me singing that one. So you got that. But yeah, that's what it was. It's like, oh yeah. And then you're just waiting, like you have, for Real Big Fish, a little different. Then Cherry Poppin' Daddy's coming. I'm like, Brian Setzer's sure to follow. He's got to come out. I saw him in concert once. Freaking incredible. Was so good. So good. He's underrated, that guy. I think he's great. I still have to end up looking for a song here. I could just go. You want? I'll play you one. Maybe with the idea. Should I give you something that's more of like a 90s Sarah McLachlan? We could go with an 80s, pure 80s hit that came out yesterday on the thing, or I can end up giving you a little Elvis. I don't know, but I might end up giving you this song. It's very quick, but it's more in the line of it being very accurate to the 40s genre. Big band 40s genre. So I'll load that one up. It's called, and actually I'm glad I'm going to pick this one because it's not really dirty. There's not a lot of dirty things in it. It's got a little bit of wordplay, but it is, They Call Me Do It in the Fanny. It is a bit of a butt song, but I hope that everybody enjoys it. But thanks, everybody, for coming out and joining me, especially live stream. If you're listening in the replay, please check out the live chat as you go through it because it's really good. And also let us know what your books of the week are. And remember, I'll be back tomorrow with the preview show, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, I will be putting up the DC Comics podcast sometime tomorrow as well. But that will be it. And I will talk to you all later.
Some gals swoon for diamonds and pearls, but to get my love, they won't make the cut because I'm not like those other girls. The way to my heart is through my butt. They call me do it in the fannies, and that's when my panties drop to the floor. They call me do it in the fannies, because the guys all come in my back door. Rich or poor, I don't really care, but I need to know when he sticks it in there, he better be well hung and needs to last. Yeah, I need a guy who's a pain in my ass. They call me do it in the fannies, and that's when my panties drop to the floor. They call me do it in the fannies, 'cause the guys all come in my back door.
Fanny, can we take you to the